American teens using ChatGPT for schoolwork have doubled in a year. At the same time, AI tutors like Khanmigo exploded from 68,000 to 1.4 million users, yet the cost is just $15 per student, compared to a teacher's salary of $2,800. $1.6 billion has already been spent, and that amount is set to soar to $28 billion worldwide. Schools and entire nations are racing to automate learning. But when algorithms can track every error and answer any question at midnight, what happens to the people we once called teachers? The AI interim is here, and the consequences are far from settled. On any given day, millions of students are turning to algorithms instead of adults for help with their homework. The numbers are staggering. In the United States, more than 1 in 4 teenagers, 26%, use ChatGPT to complete assignments, double the rate from just a year ago. Among high school juniors and seniors, that figure climbs even higher, with nearly a third relying on AI to guide them through essays, math problems, and science labs. This phenomenon is not limited to one country or one platform. Khan Academy's Khanmigo, launched recently, catapulted from 68,000 users to 1.4 million in a single year. The growth outpaces almost anything seen in education technology. Each of those students can ask for hints, explanations, or step-by-step solutions at any hour, with no waiting for office hours or after-school help. Meanwhile, Duolingo has become the world's most popular language teacher, not a person but a program. Its AI-powered lessons attract 116.7 million active users every month. Nearly half of them, 47.7 million, log in daily, practicing Spanish at breakfast or Mandarin at midnight, all guided by machine-generated feedback that never tires or judges. In China, Squirrel AI has built a network of 3,000 learning centers, serving 24 million students. The system does not just teach, it analyzes every keystroke, breaking subjects down into thousands of micro-skills to pinpoint exactly where a child gets stuck. No human teacher could possibly track that level of detail for so many learners at once. Behind each of these numbers is a real student, sometimes a child grappling with fractions, sometimes a teenager cramming for finals, sometimes a parent searching for an edge. The sheer scale of this shift is hard to grasp. AI tutors are now woven into the daily routines of tens of millions, erasing barriers of time zones, class sizes, and even language. This is not a quiet, incremental change. It is a tidal wave of adoption, touching classrooms, bedrooms, and smartphones across continents. The reach is so broad and the pace so fast that the traditional boundaries between teacher and technology have started to blur. For educators and families alike, the question is no longer whether AI will play a role in learning, but how much and how soon. District budgets are under strain, and every dollar spent on education is scrutinized like never before. The numbers behind AI adoption tell a story of mounting fiscal pressure. While a teacher's salary and benefits can cost upwards of $10,000 per student each year, platforms like Khanmigo advertise AI tutoring for as little as $15 to $20 per student annually. For a district administrator responsible for thousands of students, the math is hard to ignore. In a single mid-sized district, swapping just a fraction of after-school tutoring for an AI solution can free up hundreds of thousands of dollars, enough to cover building repairs, new technology, or expanded lunch programs. The global appetite for AI tutoring is fueled by more than just local need. Investors and governments are pouring money into the sector, expecting explosive returns. The AI in education market reached $7.6 billion in 2025, and projections for the next decade stretch as high as $112 billion, with tutoring platforms leading the charge. Some nations have gone all in. Saudi Arabia invested hundreds of millions in AI-powered learning initiatives, betting that algorithmic instruction can help leapfrog traditional classroom limitations. In China, procurement officers sign contracts for AI systems that promise not just teaching, but detailed analytics on every student's progress, data that would take teams of human teachers weeks to compile. For decision makers, the promise of AI is not only about cost, it is about scale and precision. Squirrel AI, for example, breaks down each subject into 10,000 micro skills, tracking exactly where a student hesitates or repeats mistakes. The system generates nightly reports for teachers, flagging which students struggled with quadratic equations or skipped vocabulary drills. This kind of diagnostic reporting is impossible in a typical classroom, where one teacher might juggle the needs of 30 or more students. Procurement officers now face a different kind of dilemma. Traditional hiring means finding certified teachers, negotiating contracts, and budgeting for pensions and benefits. AI platforms, by contrast, offer subscription models, instant scalability, and 24/7 availability. The financial incentive to adopt technology is clear, especially as teacher shortages persist and vacancies remain unfilled across the country. The risk, though, is that the drive to save money could prioritize efficiency over educational outcomes, a tension that will only grow as AI capabilities expand and budgets tighten further. Districts are not just buying software, they are buying a new way of thinking about instruction. With every contract signed, the economics of the classroom tilt further toward automation and analytics. For many finance officers, the question is no longer whether to invest in AI, but how quickly and how deeply to commit. In university labs and public school classrooms, the question of whether AI tutoring actually works has become a matter of data, not just hype. Recent research has delivered some of the most encouraging results yet. In one controlled trial at a major American university, students using a custom-built AI tutor outperformed their peers in traditional active learning classes. Over 49 minutes, the AI group scored a median of 4.5 on post-tests, compared to 3.5 for those in the classroom. The effect size ranged from 0.7 to 1.3 standard deviations, a leap that education researchers rarely see in short-term studies. Engagement and motivation also ran higher among students who learned with the AI system, with reported satisfaction scores outpacing the control group. These results echo across a growing body of evidence. A systematic review covering more than 4,500 K-12 students across 28 studies found that intelligent tutoring systems, when designed for personalization and mastery, consistently produced larger gains than traditional instruction. On average, students boosted their scores by 15.5%, compared to just over 5% for those without AI support. In some cases, the improvement was even more dramatic for middle schoolers and in math-focused programs, where fine-grained analysis allowed the AI to zero in on specific knowledge gaps. A 7-month pilot using a mastery-based AI platform reported gains that were equivalent to nearly a year of typical classroom progress. Success is not limited to wealthy districts or advanced economies. In sub-Saharan Africa, low-cost AI tutors delivered through simple devices helped students achieve months of additional learning for only a few dollars a year. In one pilot, children in rural Kenya using an adaptive math tutor for less than $5 a year gained almost 9 months of progress in a single school year. These results suggest that, when thoughtfully implemented, AI can help close learning gaps, especially where access to skilled teachers is limited. Not every study finds AI tutors outperforming humans, but the overall trend is hard to ignore. When AI systems are designed to guide students through problem solving rather than simply giving answers, both engagement and learning outcomes rise. The best results come from hybrid approaches, where AI augments skilled teachers, not replaces them, by providing precise feedback and freeing up time for deeper human connection. For now, the evidence points to a future where AI can be a powerful force for good in education, if used wisely. Shortcuts are tempting, especially when they promise instant progress. In classrooms and dorm rooms, AI tutors now offer answers at the tap of a screen. But when students lean too heavily on these digital helpers, the results can be troubling. A recent study from the University of Pennsylvania found that students with unrestricted access to generative AI like ChatGPT scored 10 to 20% lower on final exams than their peers. The The reason was not a lack of intelligence or effort. It was dependency. When AI provides step-by-step solutions or ready-made essays, students skip the struggle that cements real understanding. The easy path, it turns out, can lead to shallow learning and forgotten concepts. Teachers are noticing the shift. Assignments that once took hours are now completed in minutes, with polished answers that sound oddly generic. Many educators report spending more time than ever verifying the authenticity of student work. In a 2025 survey, 71% of teachers said that AI tools have made it harder to gauge what students actually know. The challenge is not just academic dishonesty, it is the erosion of critical thinking. When students turn to AI for every question, their ability to tackle unfamiliar problems on their own begins to fade. The risks go beyond test scores. In classrooms piloting unrestricted AI, teachers have observed a drop in persistence and problem-solving stamina. Students who breeze through homework with AI support often freeze when faced with open-ended questions on exams. The technology, designed to help, can quietly undermine the very skills it was meant to build. Researchers warn that unless AI tutors are carefully designed to encourage effort, for example by offering hints instead of answers or by prompting reflection instead of completion, dependency will only deepen. The paradox is clear. AI can accelerate learning, but it can also create a crutch. For every student who masters calculus with a virtual tutor, another may lose the confidence to try without one. As districts and families rush to adopt these tools, the lesson from the data is simple. Without careful oversight, the promise of AI can backfire, turning a powerful aid into a silent barrier to true learning. Across the United States, nearly 500,000 teaching positions remain vacant or are filled by individuals without full certification. That is 411,549 classrooms missing a qualified teacher, with the ripple felt by millions of students every morning. Globally, UNESCO projects a need for 44 million more teachers by 2030 just to keep up with enrollment and attrition. Yet, as the demand for educators grows, the promise of automation hovers over the profession. Geoffrey Hinton, a pioneer in artificial intelligence, warns that AI tutors could soon be 3 or 4 times more effective than their human counterparts. Goldman Sachs estimates that as many as 300 million jobs worldwide could be affected by AI, and teaching is no longer seen as immune. The paradox is hard to ignore. The World Economic Forum lists teachers among the fastest-growing occupations, even as districts struggle to fill open roles. No widespread layoffs driven by AI have occurred, at least not yet, but anxiety is building. In higher education, the pressure is acute. About 70% of university faculty now work as adjuncts, earning between $3,175 and $3,700 per course, often without benefits or job security. The arrival of AI teaching assistants like Georgia Tech's Jill Watson, who seamlessly manages 300 students per semester, signals a future where routine support work can be handled by software. Forecasts suggest that teaching assistants may be the first casualties as institutions look to technology to solve persistent staffing shortages. The tension between unfilled jobs and the looming shadow of automation is reshaping the landscape of education employment, one contract at a time. In classrooms across the country, teachers do something no algorithm has managed to imitate. They read the room, a furrowed brow, a slumped shoulder, a sudden silence. These signals speak volumes. While AI can diagnose a math mistake in milliseconds, it cannot sense when a child's frustration is masking something deeper, or when a quiet student is struggling far beyond the lesson. Surveys show that 64% of teachers now spend more time on pastoral care than ever before, tending not just to academics but to the emotional and mental well-being of their students. For younger children, the human presence is even more vital. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends no screen time at all for children under 18 months, underscoring how critical hands-on, face-to-face interaction remains in early learning. In elementary schools, teachers are the ones who tie shoes, open milk cartons, and comfort kids through tears, tasks that go far beyond any digital curriculum. With nearly 70% of children under 6 having all parents in the workforce, schools provide not just education but supervision and safety, governed by strict child-to-staff ratios that no AI can fulfill. Beyond academics, schools serve as the primary training ground for social skills, conflict resolution, and collaboration. Harvard research confirms that social and emotional learning flourishes through supportive relationships with adults. Teachers model perseverance, curiosity, and empathy, qualities that cannot be programmed. In a world racing toward automation, the human edge in classrooms is measured not just in knowledge, but in care and connection. In 2023, South Korea launched one of the world's most ambitious digital textbook initiatives, investing $850 million to bring AI-powered learning to classrooms nationwide. The project unraveled almost as quickly as it began. Within 4 months, 86% of teachers and parents voiced opposition, and 98.5% of educators reported they had not received proper training. The Ministry of Education suspended the rollout, and public trust evaporated. 10 years earlier, Los Angeles Unified School District faced its own technological reckoning. The $1.3 billion iPad program collapsed after students hacked devices within weeks. Lessons crashed and the superintendent resigned under federal investigation. More recently, BYJU's, once valued at $22 billion, lost nearly all of its worth and laid off thousands after overpromising on AI-driven learning and failing to deliver results. But amid these failures, new paths are taking shape. The American Federation of Teachers has invested $23 million in a national academy for AI instruction, retraining educators to work alongside technology rather than against it. A new role, AI integration specialist, now commands an average annual salary of $76,804, attracting teachers eager to shape the future rather than be left behind. Experts remain divided. Sal Khan sees AI as education's biggest opportunity, while Luis von Ahn predicts schools will become childcare centers. Education International warns that without careful policy, human teachers could become a luxury for the privileged. The difference between disaster and progress now rests on how schools adapt and who leads the way. Today, AI tutors handle millions of students, while teacher shortages persist on every continent. As AI rewrites the rules of learning, the real test isn't technological, it is human. The future of education now depends on whether we invest in relationships as fiercely as we invest in algorithms. The classrooms we build next will decide not just how we learn, but what kind of society we become. Share your thoughts below.